All right, beautiful people. Hello, hello, hello. It's morning in South Louisiana. It's afternoon and night in South Wales, especially in Sydney, Australia. Reaching out to you today in Sydney, Australia. Wanting to say good morning, and today's topics range from lessons from your weekend. The great Jordan Michael Thomas, musician and Christian, is in the house. Jordan, be thinking about your lessons from the weekend. And your weekend started Friday afternoon, Friday nights, all day Saturday. And be thinking about the activities that you did this weekend. You could have been doing activities alone, or you could have been doing activities with a group of people. Maybe you did activities with your best friend. So be thinking about the lessons from the weekend. We're also going to talk a little bit about the events of the life and death of Kobe Bryant. I'm going through some interesting difficulties, and I'm mature enough to realize that all of us go through stuff. There's no one that's going to watch this broadcast that is not currently going through stuff. And so Friday I made it home after a pretty solid week. And Saturday morning, the weathermen in South Louisiana, they can pretty much always say 20% chance of rain. And of course, it's going to rain every day somewhere in Louisiana. And so the forecast Saturday morning for some Saturday morning golf was like in the 40s. And the weather icon did show a little sunshine, which was good, but we ended up with a pleasant surprise where it actually was warmer than what we thought. Everybody that was in our group had more clothes than what we anticipated that we needed, and the sun was so warm and the wind was calm. And so for those of you out there that might have heard the word mindfulness and maybe not have embraced mindfulness, my great father and mentor Herman LeBlanc is on the broadcast. You may not have heard the word mindfulness before, and so my oversimplified Cajun definition of mindfulness is the ability, say on this past Saturday morning, to feel the sun, to recognize that there's the sun, to recognize and appreciate nature, to appreciate that if the wind would have been blowing 15 miles per hour, then none of us were going to be comfortable. We had an opportunity, because I've been out on the road a good bit, I had an opportunity to rekindle fantastic relationships. And so my Saturday was one of being nurtured. However, my Saturday was also a little different, because normally my 83-year young father is with me on those Saturday mornings. And so to say that Saturday morning golf group was not a bit awkward would be me not telling the whole truth. Welcome, Jeffrey Cochran. Jeffrey is a great insurance practitioner up along the East Coast, and he's part of one of my study groups that, again, earlier I said I rekindled relationships this Saturday morning. Well, Jeff is part of a group that rekindles my spirit and helps me continue to be enthusiastic about all the things that I try to accomplish from one year to next. So I have been guilty of the past of being known as a quintessential overachiever, and my friends, that's not going to change. So I appreciated the mindfulness of the nature and the great weather that we had on Saturday morning. But again, like in Louisiana, nothing stays the same for forever. And for once, the weatherman got it right and said that Sunday there was a 90% chance of rain. Well, let me tell you, when a Louisiana weathercaster says 90% chance of rain, he almost never gets that wrong. And as a result, there was no golf in my future on that Sunday. Hey, Tanya, so glad that you're here. Tanya, today what we're talking about is lessons from your weekend, maybe something you learned, maybe a project that you've been working on, maybe it's an interesting article or a book that you've been wanting to read, maybe you started a diet. In my own personal case, yesterday it was not a day for golf, and I had a hankering for some old Cajun recipes, and so lots of you might not have ever really eaten smothered potatoes with garlic and onions and jalapeno cheese sausage, and you cook that on a low fire. You let all those ingredients make love to each other. Oh my goodness, is it great? I love that hot food, comfort food going down my throat. And some of you know I'm not a big fan of cold sandwiches. I am a huge fan of shrimp po' boys, roast beef po' boys, ham and cheese po' boys, but they're all hot. So what happened this weekend for you that was a message that's on your heart that helped you grow as a person that you can take in to this weekend? That's my message today, and I am checking comments. If you want to leave me a comment or to give me your idea, by all means, please do so. Also, if you want to share this with other people that follow you here on Facebook, I'd be so honored, because the replays can be a blessing to not just 10 or 15 people, but hundreds of people. Almost all of my Facebook Lives have a much, much smaller audience than at a later time when somebody is not driving, when somebody's not at work with maybe a boss over their shoulder. There's a lot of ladies that watch my broadcast after 9 p.m. at night. You know why? Because come 8:30, 9 p.m. at night, most mothers and fathers too get those kids to bed, especially if they got a day at school the next day that they need to be good at. Some of you might can relate to this, and my dad's on the broadcast, so he can certainly verify it. But you know, as a child, I was excessively curious. Bet you that'll come as a surprise to some of you. And in my curiosity, I was an avid reader. However, sometimes I didn't want to necessarily read what the teacher had given me for homework. I had other things that I was excessively curious about, and I recall being something like in the 4th or 5th grade, and it was a little bit odd to some people, but there was a magazine. I haven't read it in years. I'm assuming it's still around. If you guys know or can Google it, the name of the magazine back then was called Louisiana Conservationist. Louisiana Conservationist. And man, all those articles and pictures about nature and conservation, science, I don't know why, it just captivated me. And so I would actually get in trouble because at 9 o'clock it's time to turn the lights out, Marvin. It's time to go to bed. You got school in the morning. Have y'all ever heard that? You got school in the morning. Turn that light off. Well, I thought I was really smart, And so it is true that I might have turned off the light in in the bedroom. However, I had a little night light that I would put the night light on under the covers, and boy, I just think I thought I was so smart. Well, y'all know where I'm going with this. Apparently, obviously, my mom and dad knew damn good and well when I wasn't necessarily sleeping, or maybe they could hear me rustling about. And so I'm pretty much maybe the only person that would get in trouble for reading. But I was reading after 9 o'clock, and that was a no-no. But I was curious. And so in your life this week, what is it that you're curious about? What is it that you want to learn? What is it that you want to do? Hey, Cindy, so glad that you're here. The great Christy Wallace is here. Christy was so instrumental in my career. She's an information technology specialist that helped me get my head right and helped me stay on a path of staying ahead in technology. Although I have a lot of paint in my hair right now, some people thought that's gray hair, and one day I told Taylor, my daughter, that's not gray hair, that's paint. She fast corrected me that in fact it was not paint. But Christy Wallace was such a good mentor because she opened my head to possibilities as to how technology can leverage your business efforts. So I was curious and I was open to receive. My meditation for you today is, what are you curious about today? What are you open to receive today? When someone talks, are you already thinking of the answer that you want to give them? Because listening is not waiting to talk, folks. Listening is not waiting to talk. Very important lesson. Listening is not waiting to talk. So, do you pay attention and be open-minded? I have a sister-in-law on right now, and she had asked me a couple of weeks back to talk about mindfulness. And earlier I was mentioning, Vicki, the mindfulness of literally taking time out every day. This is an oversimplification, but this is what mindfulness means to me. Am I so busy, like right now while I'm passing you, I'm looking at an eagle's nest. I'm literally passing an eagle's nest. That right there is mindfulness, the ability to notice. Mindfulness is the ability not to be so self-absorbed that you're unconscious of your breathing, that you don't appreciate the sun. There's a person on here right now, her name is Tony. She loves clouds, and she's mindful of the clouds, and that speaks to her in a special way. When you talk to friends, are you mindful of what they're saying versus the words they're using? What are they saying versus the words they are using? There's a lady that just came in. She's from the Pennsylvania area. I think she's living in England right now. And she is instrumental in helping me, in mentoring me. And Cindy Poe came into my life at a time where I had exceptionally limiting self-beliefs as it relates to doing a live stream broadcast. And that person was patient and kind to me, and she was the wind beneath my wings while I was fighting through my discomfort. What do you have the courage to fight through this week? You know, it's important not to just stay as a spectator in life. The fact is The biggest risk that you can take in life is to do nothing. So all of these people that are afraid of all of these things, they're afraid of relationships, they're afraid of taking a new job, they're afraid of going to work, they're afraid of having a child, they're afraid of when the child gets to college, they're afraid. So they do nothing. Well, as it relates to the job situation in America, risky is the new safe. Risky is the new safe. Hey, Tanya Caruth is a great dreamer. She's a hard worker. She broadcasts regularly. She's a family lover, and she's building a great network marketing business. You know why? Because people feel her love. Do people feel your love? Do you feel like you're being surrounded by people constantly that are pulling from you instead of adding or multiplying in your life? You know, it really is down to math, guys. You know, a person is either an adder to your life, a multiplier in your life, a subtractor in your life. And the worst one, I think, even worse than subtraction, is a divider. Yep, there's a person right now on this broadcast that had a mother that was always a divider. She was the kind of person that when this person left the room lit up, because she was always scheming and conniving and literally even turning her own sons and daughters against each other. Okay? Are you a divider? Because guess what? You're not just an animal. You can make changes. I don't really necessarily believe that you have to make new resolutions. What I need you to really possibly embrace is just to make daily recommitments to the things that matter the most in your life. What is your core values? Let's talk about integrity for a second. Well, what does integrity mean? Well, growing up, integrity meant to me is if my mom and daddy was over my right shoulder looking at me, would I do whatever it was that I was thinking about that I was trying to decide if it was right or wrong? How about you? Do you try to make shortcuts in business so that you can get ahead on some report, or you're just so inflamed with competition, or you're so inflamed with ego and keeping up with the Joneses? That was always a good one for me. These people I lived in a neighborhood in the early 90s. These people would buy these big old homes. Hey, Jacinta's in here. I lived in a neighborhood that, man, people would buy these big old homes, and I had one of those big old homes. But after they got in those big old homes, they had bed sheets on the windows for curtains, because they didn't have enough money to put up real curtains. Now that to me is kind of an example of trying to keep up with the Joneses. If you're a person who wants to keep up with the Joneses, if you're a person that's driving a car well above your means, if you're a person that knows good and well you need life insurance, and you know good and well that the breadwinners in your household needs 10 times the annual income that they make, so a person, guy or gal, making $40,000 a year times 10 years, they at least need to be leaving $400,000 behind for their loved ones in the event that they don't make it home from work. Now, no one is exempt from an early death. And unless you're living under a stone, you know that right now, yesterday, Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna, died in a helicopter accident. Also, don't forget the other 7 members that were also there. So a total of 9 people died in a helicopter accident yesterday morning. So their lives were not only changed forever, obviously, but so too was the lives of all the people that they touched. There was a baseball coach that was on there. I think his wife and a daughter. That was 3 people in a family that were lost. I don't know if they had other family members or not, but what I'm trying to say is life changes in an instant, and people are always complaining about how expensive things are. Well, guess what? The cost of bread continues to go up. The cost of milk continues to go up. The cost of meat continues to skyrocket. Most of you on this broadcast don't know that the cost of life insurance has decreased. Yes, you can get a bargain in life insurance, but yet you didn't know, or you refuse to even be open-minded to the reality that you're going to die, and there's a strong chance that you're not going to die on your timetable. The reality is, I say this in a joking way from time to time, but boy, it sure would help me out a lot if I knew exactly what day I was dying. Then I could plan better. Well, the reality is that's ridiculous. We don't know the hour that we're going to die. We do not know the day. What we do know is that in our life, we do have today. We don't even know if we're going to finish today. But we do know that by making the right mental choices, we can positively impact another person today. You are not a plant. You do not have to stay stuck on stupid. You do not have to constantly live your life in oppression, assuming that you're not imprisoned. Okay? You can make a move. Is it going to be hard? Hell yeah, it's going to be hard. Nothing good comes easy. But guess what? Nothing appreciated comes easy. Everything that ever mattered to me most in my life, I had to work hard for. So these people that are all hung up about, that's going to be hard. Well, hell, you know what hard is? Hard is staying stuck. Hard is staying stuck. Don't stay stuck. Get around the right people. Direct message me. I don't care. Let's talk about anything. I'm not perfect. Matter of fact, I don't even try to be perfect. But what I try to be is consistent. What I try to be is loyal to the people that are in my life. They are loyal to me. I am loyal to them. And pretty much everybody, a whole bunch of them that are on this broadcast, as a matter of fact, right now, if they needed to wear me out because I was going a little off path, guess what? They would reach out and give it to me. And I'm not just talking about my 83-year-old dad. I'm talking about former leaders that are retired. I'm talking about former speech instructors and drama coaches that are here. I'm talking about retired buddies of mine that are golfers. I'm talking about a classical pianist that's on right now. All of these people have enough know, like, and trust with me that if I was really way out of line, I have loyalty and respect for them to listen. So how about you? Number one, let's take it from your point of view, okay? Who are you loyal to? Can you write down the people that you're loyal to? Who do you respect? Now, this is a harder question. Who is loyal to you? Who respects you? And the worst question of all is, are you allowing people who are not loyal to you and not respectful to you absorb your time and energy? Oh, did he go there on a Monday morning? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Somewhere in the Bible, Doug Rhodes can tell me stand guard at the gateway of your mind. I don't know exactly the chapter and verse, but standing guard at the gateway of your mind is, number one, watching what comes into your mind through external sources. Okay, so that could be media, it could be family, friends, enemies, any number of things. Those are external sources. There's 3 people right now I'm thinking about in here that have a challenge in this area, and that is standing guard at the gateway of your mind as it relates to internal sources. And what I'm talking about right now is, who is the most important friend that you have in the world? The most important friend you have in the world is you for you. Who is the most important person that you love? The most important person that you love should not be a spouse. It should not be a child. Oh yeah, Marvin, it should be my spouse or my loved one or my partner. Oh, it should be my child. No. We have to first love ourselves. Now, I'm not talking about a narcissistic kind of love. I'm talking about self-love. I'm talking about internally talking to yourself and not being a person that self-sabotages. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being so disciplined with yourself that you don't have those unclean thoughts, that you really think and read or listen to people, places, or things that are going in the direction that you need to go. Well, Marvin, this is all new to me. This whole personal development thing is new to me. Where do I start? Well, I think you should start with Dale Carnegie. Well, really, why? Well, because millions upon millions of people have read it. Okay, these are all books after the Bible. Okay, let's say you don't believe in Christianity or the risen Christ. Let's say you just don't believe that. Well, fine. You still need to read the Bible. Why? Because there's great stories in there. There's great stories that teaches lots of great lessons that you can apply right away. Oh, well, but I don't understand the thee and the thy and the thou. Well, great. Go to Barnes & Nobles, or if you're out in the middle of the country and there's no bookseller anywhere around there, bookstore, go to Amazon and you can find great books that paraphrase what those old Hebrew languages or versions really meant. Okay? So that's some of the things I learned this weekend. I learned a little bit more about mindfulness, the tragedies of Kobe Bryant and the other 8 people yesterday. I learned about how fragile life is. I learned that I don't really plan as far out as I once did before. Back in college, we would take a course called Management by Objectives, and man, they were all hyped up about your 1 year, your 3 year, and your 5 year plan. Oh my goodness! In today's digital society, a 5 year plan sounds like I don't know. It sounds like something out of Star Wars. Okay, the reality is I live 1 month at a time. I'm going to have the best January that I can. Then I'm going to analyze the living hell out of everything that happened in my January. I have a journal. This daily journal was bought from a great friend of mine. His name is Brendan Burchard, Burchard, and he's got this daily journal that not only is it a journal, but it's also a calendar, so you can actually do both things in the same place. Well, the magic about that journal is a year later, that journal is much more valuable to me a year later than it is when I'm actually writing in it. You know why? Because I go back and read and meditate and reflect on who was I then? What was I thinking then? What was I trying to accomplish then? And what have I done since then? What will I be? My great drama coach, Lynn Holder, says, remember the right financial planning. You can leave money to organizations that can make a difference for many years after you were gone on the community. charities, community theaters. What he's talking about there is that Lynn has dropped many pebbles into the ocean of lives of thousands of people. This is a man that has conducted productions at Disney World and Broadway all over the world, okay? He has dropped his effort into the lives of so many people. His spirit lives inside of me. He was providing a huge amount of coaching and discipline to me in those grades, say 7th grade through 10th grade. Okay, little did I know how unbelievably important those exercises, those mental exercises that we were going through was going to matter. Imagine being him, where we had a play, and I later was blessed with earning Actor of the Year that year. Well, the name of the play was Cheaper by the Dozen, and I was the father in this play called Cheaper by the Dozen. Imagine him having to keep up with a dozen 9th graders and 8th graders, and everybody learning their lines, and everybody getting in place, and everybody getting to practice on time. You know, lots of people back then, they didn't want to practice. Well, everybody wants to be a star, but nobody wants to come to practice. And folks, you know what? It's going to be hard for you to ever rise above being average. And for some of you that are watching that are just, you're happy with being average, then some of this you probably will feel uncomfortable with. But that's okay. I still love you anyhow. But for you to be great in anything in life, okay, you have to practice. The great Malcolm Gladwell, you want to write that down. Malcolm Gladwell, you go to Amazon and you can buy Malcolm Gladwell's book. And the name of Malcolm Gladwell's book is called The Tipping Point. And I'm going to summarize one point. The book is very interesting with lots of stories. I think he had an African-American Canadian father, an American Caucasian mother, and he did some experiments dressing up that looked rather Caucasian, and he did experiments dressing up, and he was looking rather African American, and he judged how people reacted to him based on his outer appearance. It's quite fascinating stuff. Jerry, thanks so much for coming to the broadcast. Jonathan Porter is in the house. Thanks so much for coming. Please go ahead and rebroadcast and reshare with your friends. So what I'm trying to say to you is in that book called The Tipping Point, Malcolm talks about 10,000 hours. And 10,000 hours with the people that he interviewed is approximately the amount of time that people said that they had to devote before they felt like they became an expert. So right now in your life, okay, so now let me back up. Doug Rhodes has said, Proverbs 4:20, my child, listen carefully to everything I say. Don't forget a single word, but think about it all. So in Proverbs 4:20, I think that's where it says something about standing guard at the gateway of your mind. A great name just popped in here. His name is Galen Gotro. Galen, I'm going to spare you the story of the night I brought you home where you had a little bit additional alcohol because you was trying to win a drinking bet against AP Marshall at Snows. I'm going to spare everybody from that story, but your mother made a huge impression on me that night. And it is true. I just sat you up on that door and hauled ass and got in my car and drove away before she opened that door. But we all learn and live, and we're still here, and we're still loving life and growing on a daily basis. So right now, what about you that are watching? Miss Juanita's in the house. Juanita is a fellow business colleague of mine in a network marketing organization, which incidentally, Juanita, this weekend it was cold and rainy over here. And as you can see right here, Juanita, I had my relief, girl. Well, I was having some pain right here in my neck. And as it says on the bottle there, 80 milligrams of CBD. Folks, for you that don't know what this is CBD oil, no THC. You can't fail a drug test with it. And it also has emu oil, and you don't have to use a whole bunch of it, just a little. Back in the day, what was the name of that hair thing for ladies? Dippity doo. Just a little dip will do you. And so, Juanita, I was rubbing that relief on there, girl, and I had a great night's sleep last night. For any of you out there that have chronic joint pain, direct message me, and I'll be glad to talk to you about it. I just stumbled on it, and it's made a hell of a difference to me, and I haven't needed to take those big white pain medication pills, so I'm excited. So thank you, Doug, for reaching out with Proverbs 4:20. Thanks, Dad, for all you've done for me and for coming on board right here. Kurt Dryer's in the house. Galen Gotro, a drama coach of mine, Mr. Lynn Holdridge, retired after many years at Disney. You know, you don't get to work at Disney if you ain't got the goods, okay? So what has happened is all of the accomplishments that I've ever had in my life, none of that wouldn't have happened if I would have not been surrounded by excellent people. But in your life, if you're not surrounded by excellent people, you can make a difference, and you can make a difference today. I wish you peace. I wish you love. I wish you gumbo. This is Marvin LeBlanc from South Louisiana, reaching out to you and wishing you a great week. Goodbye, guys. Peace, love, and gumbo.